Earth debate live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Neil, Wandek, Click OK, Sensual Goat, and a whole bunch of people in the Politics Flat Earth 24/7 Discord server, so welcome one and all.
Yeehaw!
Good afternoon.
Yo.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Got a few globe believers, I would assume, in this Discord server today on a Friday. So I'm going to ask a housekeeping question. Why not? Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
Can't get an angle from a curve.
At the basis of the maps, basis of the charts, the basis of the Cartesian grid used to navigate. The systems that we expanded the known territories were all done with these elevation angles, taken from a flat plane. The globe itself was created with these flat Earth angles of elevation. Earth's measured flat. As I said in my preamble, that's the reason we're in politics on a Friday. Stony silences might be a thing that happens while we're waiting for somebody to pipe up with a question. We will see how we get on. As always, there's often fireworks and heated discussions on a Friday, but there's often long, protracted periods of silences once the Discord panel figure out that we're live, which we now are, which is happy days around. I've got several new videos, one that's just literally been released before this live show went out. So I timed it so that it would end and promote the idea of coming to this live stream as soon as you'd seen that video. So hopefully there's a few people who've toddled along to my live stream after watching that. Hope you all enjoyed it. Took a long time to edit, about 6 hours.
A lot of these globe believers, though, they will they openly admit that you're using a sextant and you're using elevation angle measurements to measure latitude and to navigate the surface of Earth without, well, I'm going to say without realizing that, you know, that's got nothing to do with curvature. We're using the surface of Earth. It's an elevation angle, yeah, horizontal, nothing to do with curvature. So obviously, we're not using a curved surface of Earth when we're using the elevation angle with the sea sextant. We're using a flat horizontal baseline. Got nothing to do with curvature whatsoever. They need to get this disconnect in the head. They can't comprehend what we're saying, apparently. And I can't understand why that is.
My favourite part of Friday is just waiting for somebody who can't comprehend it to come along and start telling me that, no, we can do all this with the globe, and then taking them to the latitude and longitude grid itself. It's like, you're never going to change how these systems function. And in my humble opinion, this is the route to get people to understand and appreciate the nature of Earth. That is to say, a flat Earth as their actual reality. And I'll tell you why. People are scared of something that's different or new or unfamiliar. People don't like that. They like the familiar, they like routine. So if you can show them that nothing changes, there's nothing to be scared of because nothing's going to change. It was always dealt with flat. It was always measured flat. It still is measured flat. There's nothing to be scared of. Because people say, one of their first questions I hear is, what difference will it make? How does it affect me? Well, if you can say, it doesn't. Nothing will change. The Earth was always flat. It was always measured flat. The globe itself came from those measurements. So while you're entitled to your belief, if you understand the origins of your globe, you understand that they came from the measurements that we still use to this day, because that's how Earth is. So nothing will change. The Earth does not unfold when you appreciate that measurements of the Earth itself, flat, have created this religious belief in the surface being spherical. It isn't, and you need flat Earth measurements to make that paradigm for people to believe in. But if you have an appreciation of that, you'll then realise why all the maps are flat, why all the systems are flat, why all the angle measurements are flat, why we flatten the turf before we build on it. You realise that it's nothing's changing. It's always been dealt with that way. Earth's always been treated as a flat plane because it is one.
Yeah,
Well,
but
there is-
why would they do that? All right, Earth is flat, but why would they make it a globe? It makes no sense, Nathan.
It's appeal to motive fallacy. I don't care. I can show you how they made it. Why is an appeal to motivation fallacy in this subject? It's just matters of fact. What you see on screen now is the way you create the Mercator projection. It's a visualization of projecting the points that the globe would give you on a flat map with a Cartesian grid. Okay. Well, if you understand that, and you understand that the globe itself has latitude and longitude on it, because the angles measured off a plane created them, and can be converted from an equatorial plane through the globe, effectively meaning the globe is nothing more than a protractor, you can understand how the origins of the flat maps are projections of globes that have come from flat Earth angle measurements. So there's this like convoluted transition to make it seem like this on screen now. Well, it's just this. It's just globe projected onto a flat map. That's all it is. Like, well, how did the globe get created? Oh, with flat Earth angle measurements to the stars that are projected on points, converted mathematically. Like, but when we actually utilize any of these systems, even the orbital systems themselves, we're describing ourselves as being inside the globe because the globe's nothing more than a protractor.
I've never heard anybody explain how curvature is measured
It
from
isn't.
the opponent's side. No,
It
it's I
isn't.
know, but they can't. They claim it is, but they can't. When as soon as they open their mouth, they're talking about flat Earth elevation angle measurements.
Yeah. Including, and not limited to, the claim that we have calculable Earth curvature derived from flat Earth measurements also. Yes, one deck. Surface level, eye level, parallel. Required to be measured to infer that there's an Earth curve calculable below the surface level? There isn't. Earth's measured flat for every instance.
And if you're so confident that you are actually measuring the curvature of Earth, why in the next breath do you say you're measuring it locally flat? I mean, that doesn't make sense.
They're calculating curve, and to do so, they need to measure it flat.
Oh dear.
But yeah, hopefully our time will be fun. We stay here for about an hour live, so like I say, if there are any questions from any of you in the Discord server, there's an abundance of you, then feel free, now is the time to ask. If not, welcome all of you to Flat Earth. Now you know, if you've been paying attention, where your globe religion came from, if you're a globe believer, or that you don't need to concern yourself with debating people. You can get on with your day now. Not necessarily great for my YouTube subs, but you don't need us once you know Earth's measured flat, and it always was, will be, and that's all there is to it.
Still didn't answer my question. Why would they do something like that? What's the purpose of making it a globe?
I already addressed this too. It's an appeal to motivation fallacy when you can show how the globe is created. I've got it on screen for you as well as my audience right now, Neil. The description from the centre isn't you measuring the surface and you saying, well, why did they do this? Who cares? Measured flat. Doesn't matter why they created the globe. You can ponder that if you want to. But your appeal to motivation fallacy is almost like saying, you know, your cheating wife's been caught red-handed and you want to find out why she did it. No. Here's the lie. Earth's measured flat. Why would they lie? I don't care.
All right. They got a diagram of a car. They make a car. The reason why they make a car is to get from point A to point E faster. You're telling me that they just constructed this globe out of flat Earth elevation angle measurements for no reason?
Now, I know the reason, but now that I've laboured the point that it's not really relevant, I could give you the history of it. I could explain how the church needed better predictive capabilities for the lights in the sky. They needed to tell the congregation when Easter was accurately. And you have out-of-the-box thinking in terms of Earth's sphericity put into a elliptical orbital motion by Kepler. Well, that elliptical orbital motion is an attempt to mathematically describe with better accuracy the positional data of the light tracked with flat Earth elevation angles in the sky. Well, that out-of-the-box thinking puts you on an asymptotically flat plane with you in the centre of hell, describing Earth as a sphere derived from flat Earth measurements moving around the sun. To try and square the circle of, I can never remember the name of these, epicycles. Got it, yes. And turning them into, got the new version of it now, retrograde motion. I'll get there. I'm a bit rusty.
Doing pretty good, Nathan.
Pretty good. I'm getting there. Well, that purpose is serves only one outcome: to know better when Easter will be in that particular instance, with better predictive capabilities. But out-of-the-box thinking that puts you in hell, moving around the sun, aka heliocentric, with Keplerian orbital ellipses, doesn't mean that the maths that's utilised to create that out-of-the-box thinking puts you on the surface of the protractor, claimed to be the surface of the surface that you're not measuring, in this cyclical motion on a asymptotically flat plane anyway. It's like even that description of orbital motion requires a flat plane. All roads lead to flat Earth. Why is irrelevant. Even if you know that they're just trying to better predict when Easter will be. Who cares? Does it matter?
Exactly. It doesn't matter because we know for a fact how it's measured. It's measured flat. Elevation angles to and from Polaris to get the latitude. So you can't get out of that fact. Like you said, Nathan, it's been done like this for thousands of years. The Greeks all knew it. Apparently.
But why did
And
you
everybody
cheat
knows
on me? I loved you. We had such a beautiful marriage.
So it doesn't matter why they've lied, because that does not alter the fact of the matter, how it's measured. It doesn't alter it. It's got nothing to do with it, how it's physically measured.
The other question we get asked, what difference does it make? How does this matter? Okay, if Earth's flat, what does it matter? Well, it doesn't. It won't affect you in the slightest. There's nothing to be scared of. It was always flat to begin with. The way we've expanded our territories was flat with angles to the stars. The way we've made the models to navigate the territory we expanded flat was with angles to the stars. The Cartesian grid we now commonly use in GPS has sod all to do with the globe, beyond the projected distortion created from a globe that was created from flat Earth elevation angles to the stars. So now you know, Earth's measured flat. You can create a globe with those measurements, and then you can project that globe onto a flat map so it's useful again. But Earth is ultimately utilised, functionally measured, and practically applied in all respects as a flat plane.
Good morning.
Morning, Ted.
Morning, Ted.
I can't
Morning,
believe what
Ted.
I'm here. Good morning, Mondeck, Neil. I can't believe what I'm hearing. One day removed from the AI presentation. Two things. Mondeck, you said, how did they get their curve measurements? You want to repeat that?
Yeah, they used elevation angle measurements.
No, that's not how they got their curve measurements. Because elevation angle will have to prove a flat 180 baseline.
Yeah, they measured it flat and then they did some mathematics to create the globe. That's what they did.
No, they did spherical triangle, which is an oxymoron. Triangles has three straight sides. But it's the concave inner surface of the celestial sphere, which is imaginary. And anyone can walk outside tonight and look at the horizon from east to west and see the arc of a protractor resembled in the way the stars move against the sky. So their spherical measurement, which became their Earth, is perspective measurement using what they call spherical triangle, the PZX, and the Haversine formula. It's never regarding the Earth's surface. So yes, they measured curvature, but it's perspective. It's not even real because the stars are moving straight, as we know by the astronomical rectangle as shown yesterday in the presentation. You got to have the square with the 490s. So the only curvature they got is perspective curvature. And then they reify you on the arc of the protractor. Second, it does matter because, as you said, Nathan, once you know someone is lying, you cut them off from your life. So once you find out they're lying about the nature of this Earth, yeah, maybe the reason is not known, or there could be many reasons, but it does make a difference because now you know that the entities that are still pushing this lie cannot be trusted. And so it matters so that you don't get fooled by them on other matters. It's called discernment.
Just so we're all clear about which show we're talking about. So at the end of the live response to a shorts video by Pirate Gaming, I think that's the right name, Pence did an extended presentation based on a back and forth he had with ChatGPT or similar. So check that out. It's the end of yesterday's live stream, which is titled Response to Pirate Gaming.
Yeah, it wasn't ChatGPT. It's Perplexity AI. It's another AI engine.
Sure, but what you go through and cover based on what is scrapable from the common knowledge of man, in this case, whatever it's called, AI, is what's being presented. And it's very, very enlightening because there is no arguing with the reality that we measure and how that is utilized and projected through Haversine conversion. So take heed, and it's worthy of critique from One Deck, sorry. Because they don't take any measurements of an Earth curve. They can produce Earth curve, if you want to call it that, as a glorified protractor through the Haversine conversion, as 10th Man just detailed and went through in more detail yesterday. So yeah, check it out. It's yesterday's show. It's at Pirate Gaming show.
What is Haversine conversion?
They measure, just hang on for a second there, Neil, please. They measure sky curve due to perspective, and then they say that's what you live on.
On screen now.
And then just to jump in for quick, isn't this the whole thing about spherical excess that they claim?
Do you see the angle there in that picture Nathan's got up right now,
he's
the
in
orange
Discord.
line?
No, he doesn't.
Okay. Well, just imagine an angle emanating from the vertex where the two lines meet, where they're actually touching. That's where the navigator with the sextant would be. It widens as it extends and gets wider and wider and wider, but the angle never changes. So you can have a correct angle measurement at any point of those two lines, even when they get wider apart than from the beginning, where it was originally originating from. And what they've done is they've taken the perspective view of the sky as, well, he'll see it another time. And they put you on that, and the angles retain their accuracy.
Exactly. We were covering this just by coincidence, we were covering this in the pre-show for the reason it can't be a bigger ball. The projected points of the angles don't change as you project them through the ball, as you can see on screen now. And the reason the line continues is because that line, I'll just highlight it with my mouse, continues out to the celestial sphere. But the ball must have a radius value of 3959 in this bastardization of angle measurements off a plane, so that they correspond with the angle that actually gets measured off the plane to the light in the sky, which is on the celestial sphere. So you're creating a glorified protractor, calling it a globe Earth, so that the angles at 3959 radius will correspond with the flat Earth measurements that you will use when you measure stars.
I think it's 10th. I wrote something down the other month, and I think it just sort of fits in with what you're saying. It's only short, but it was sort of. It blows my mind how they hijacked the perspective of the celestial dome heavens to then bring down perspective of a curved dome down to a flat Earth, then to create a globe model that doesn't account for perspective and replaces perspective with curvature when perspective was used in the first instance to create the non-perspective Earth curve model.
I
Yeah,
like it.
That's pretty accurate. That was good. I followed along with that. That was very accurate.
Yeah, I like it.
Other than the word
It's-
model, paradigm.
In the reading I've done, or readings, the Greeks fantasized, thought, evaluated when they looked at the moon, the sun, and said, I wonder if we're a sphere like that, a circle like that, a globe like that. And so obviously ideas have consequences. And so when they have those ideas, then they're saying, well, obviously we got to be a big globe because it looks flat, locally flat. So let's put a stick in the ground and get an elevation angle with a shadow. And that could work if the Earth is curving. So let's assume we are on a globe, and the difference between Eratosthenes, Cyan, and the other place is because the Earth is curving.
Alexandria.
Okay, so this is how they formulated the whole thing, and eventually books were written, and people who wanted that to be their reality need to prove it somehow. So what do? They look at the sky, and they see the perspective view of the celestial sphere, which is imaginary, and say, that's what we live on, the arc of that protractor. So in using a sextant, which is an angle measuring device, which needs a 180 baseline, and you go to 0 to 90, right there should tell you how they've hijacked everything. There is no 90, no perpendicular, no vertical meeting a horizontal on a globe curved surface. And yet that's the process of celestial navigation because it's flat. And it's the sky that they're reifying as the arc of the protractor. And so that's why Andrew Thomas Young has to say clearly that all his refraction studies were done on a plane. But Earth is not flat, so we need some considerations in geometry because we have to make it work on a globe. And there you go. That's what they do.
Pretty clever how they did it, though.
Well, it's a way of taking someone who's got a sextant, telling them it's a 180 to a 90, and then at the same time mesmerizing that guy and making him think he's not on the 180. And after the local horizon, which is the limitation of his eyesight, disappears, Earth is dropping, curving. Well, that can't work because, as yesterday's presentation showed, 75-degree co-altitude would give you 4,500 miles, nautical miles, a flat plane that the two zeniths, the one of the sun creating the GP, the one of the observer, the 90, cannot be diverging. You need a rectangle. You need the astronomical rectangle. So it's got to be flat. The sky distance, the zenith distance in the sky with the inverted triangle base, is the same as the one on the surface of the Earth, as AI explained.
I think it's amazing. Yeah, they made us look up at the sky and then they pulled out the flat rug from beneath our feet.
Yeah. But I think it does matter that they lie because there has to be a purpose for the continuation of the lie once they found out it wasn't a globe versus when they thought it was and they didn't have the P900 to see why the mast of the ship was the last thing disappearing. But then when they zoom in, they see the hole in the water. It's the limitation of the eyes. So they couldn't prove it that way. So it's just these little things due to perspective that can assist someone to think the Earth is actually curving, because bottom up this obstruction happens on everything on a flat plane, because you're running out of space. As the further you go out, the compression against the deck. But the sky is wide open, so you see those things last. They don't disappear. That's why it takes all the way to the edge of the horizon before you see a cloud touching the sea. It's not touching the sea.
Yeah, that's what they're calling the curve of the sky, and that's what that effect that you're calling perspective is what creates the celestial sphere. Like you say, the clouds above your head are the same altitude in that example as the clouds that are touching the horizon, and you can easily imagine visually how that would create a protractor around you. Well, that's the arc that you take the measurements of the angles to the stars with. You can then project those points through Haversine, as Neil was asking, onto that protractor at radius 3959 based on a polarocentric measurement that gives you a minimum at the equator. That would be the minimum that you can see that star with. That creates the latitude and longitude grid for the north. That's half of the celestial sphere. You then do the same for an inferred point in the south, and you've got a full sphere wrapped around a flat plane for the north and an antipodal flat plane for the south. That is the celestial sphere model. If you wrap a globe around it, you're taking angles from within the globe that's basically completely surplus to requirements. But that's how you'd create it to make it look like there's a globe inside of on the outside of a flat plane that you're actually measuring these angles with, and created the entire system to begin with a parallel sky to the ground that you see with a perspective view. Good summary, Tenth. Someone's off mute in Discord. Did someone want to add something?
You say this.
I just want to add, before we get too far away from the comment, that as he mentioned, the limitation to our eyesight when he brought up zooming back into the ship that was gone. When he says that limitation of our eyesight, myself, I completely understand what he says, and I'm sure most people listening do. But I find for some reason when we try to explain to the Globers, you can't see the Eiffel Tower because you can't see forever. They don't comprehend that their sight has a limit. It's insane.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's cool that you understand this, but by the same token, it's not your positive claim to defend, right? You don't have to explain limitations of view with perspective. I know we've been talking about it with the stars, which is slightly different, but nevertheless, it's their responsibility to prove that there's a physical geometric sphere edge horizon debunked in 2020 by the Black Swan. It's not your responsibility to explain why we've got a horizon. It really isn't. Not your burden.
There's an important part to that question. Who was that person that asked that question? That was a good question or statement.
Flatman Canal, is that right, Smee?
Yeah, Flatman can, yeah.
Okay, so there's a psychology that I've picked up on all these years debating the subject, and Nathan's well aware of it, as so are many people who are on the show now. The psychology is when you're born, from kindergarten all the way to meeting you, me, or Nathan, and we're talking about the subject, all you've seen is everything reifying a globe, all the space movies, the globe in the classroom, everything. Okay, so then all of a sudden, they put a tramp stamp underneath flat earth videos on YouTube, get an act of Congress to say, these people are crazy. This is an archaic view. This is what the old timers taught, but we've come a long way. They didn't have science back then. So they frame it in that way. Now that sets up our opponent. It could be our cousin, right? It could be someone you're married to, in a psychological state that we are crazy and we don't have science. Okay. So now when you're talking to them, realize this is how they're looking at you. So when you say what you said about the Eiffel Tower, they understand that. They understand the mountain looks, you can hold your thumb in front of a mountain and it covers the whole mountain. As you drive towards the mountain is huge and your thumb can't even cover a boulder. They know this. The problem is the whole argument. They are conditioned to think we're nuts. So they can't stop and look at one fact built upon another fact that destroys this big lie. And it is a big lie.
Okay, well, we're about halfway through to our time in politics today, so hopefully there's a couple more questions to come.
I thought Nick would be in here asking questions. He always is.
Who?
The guy Nick.
I don't know who Nick is. Anyway, does anybody have any questions? Maybe we should appeal
He
to the
got
mods. They're
banned.
normally the ones checking out the chat.
Yeah, Nick got removed from the server. He had done some cringe stuff. That's the guy I was talking about in the pre-show. Kept opening mod mail and blurting TOS stuff.
Oh, okay. Say no more.
That's very telling.
Anybody else?
Nathan, I have a question.
Awesome.
Yeah. Do you know the buildings in the distance? Yeah. If the Earth was the surface is curved, yeah, shouldn't the buildings in the far distance be at an angle? But in reality, they're not at an angle, are they? Because the surface of the Earth is not curved.
Okay, well, you're inventing a position that they don't take in their official rhetoric to brace against, which is fine because the principle that you're describing might well be true. I'm not saying you're wrong, but they have an assertion that Earth curve is a physical geometric sphere edge horizon below surface level at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height above the surface level. That's flat. So they've got an official rhetoric. And we debunked it in 2020. The argument's called the Black Swan. Want me to go through it?
Yes.
Yeah, go on, Nathan.
If the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every distance to horizon measurement can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as laid down in Earth curve maths. Distance to horizon in the Black Swan is beyond the limitations at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Therefore, the horizon is not Earth curve, and the Earth is not a sphere.
Yeah, understood, Nathan.
That's it. You try and attack a position that they're not taking, they can rightly claim that you're just claiming a straw man, because it's not part of their official claim. So their official claim is 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That height comes from a surface level. It's flat. Well, the eye level that you derive from surface level, that's parallel with the surface level flat, is what's needed to make this claim. So in 2024, we're saying, look, all claims lead to a flat Earth. This is no exception. You need a flat Earth to make this assertion, right? You need surface level and a height of eye level above it to infer that there's a Earth curve below surface level at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height above surface level. You need a flat Earth to claim Earth curve. It's absurd, but true. All roads lead to a flat Earth, not just Earth curve. The globe's made with flat Earth measurements. So, like I say, if you're gonna take a positive stance against their positive claim, you need to work within the parameters of their actual official positive claim, and that's that there's an Earth curve edge at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's what's in Earth curve maths. That is their claim.
So wait, you're saying that they have the edge? Because for years they were asking us about our edge.
Yeah, Neil, they're the ones with the edge. It's below the surface level that's flat that they must measure.
And speaking to that, though, I will say, and I mean, I approach this respectfully. If we are going to, in fact, unpack their model, right, their claim of it being a ball, I do think that it's fair to point out that there would be this diverging plumb line observation if, in fact, we were dealing with a ball, which we would see this tilting of buildings on the surface in order to prop up the spheroid claim. But as I stated, we don't see that. Therefore, you go back to your fallback position of a level, stationary, topographical plane.
Yeah, but sure. But as I'm saying, to claim the sphere that you're making this assertion outside of their official claim needs a flat plane to make the surface that you're working outside of their official claim with. So the ball that you're going to infer would have angles of buildings tilting on it. That curve that's being inferred was made with flat Earth measurements. right? Derived at 39.59 in the maths. So it's outside of their claim and needs you to whistle past the flat Earth needed to make the globe to have the buildings not angling on it, if that makes sense.
Nathan,
Yes.
it's not even their claim. Their
Yeah.
claim is that the GP of a star, assume that's that building in the distance, and the observer have vertical zeniths, 90s. That's the astronomical rectangle. Their claim is that zeniths do not diverge. It creates a rectangle with 4 90s, an inverted right angle triangle with the baseline in the sky, known as the zenith distance, and the right angle triangle using the sea horizon with a Mariner sextant with the baseline on the surface of the ocean. When you put those two together, it creates a rectangle, and the zeniths do not diverge. That's their claim of how it works.
Yeah. Hope that's clear.
Well, you used the terminology earlier, and just for the audience, what is Haversine conversion?
Process of creating the globe with the angles that you're taking to the stars, Neil.
It puts you on the arc of the protractor. That's how they want it to work so that they can reify the globe and say you're on a surface that's curving. But they forget that in order to get the initial elevation angle measurements before you do any transformative math equations, you just view a protractor. You're on the baseline of 180 and you're looking at a sky from a perspective point of view. And if the star or sun is directly over you, it's at 90 position to you. And if it's at your eastern horizon, it's at 0. And if it's at your western horizon, it's completing the baseline as a 180 straight angle.
More serious things
A
going on.
semicircle.
My game just crashed. Very irritating.
Yo, so how does it come back around the other end?
It doesn't have to restart the graphics card, reset the whole computer. It's very irritating.
How does what come back around the other end?
My game, it won't. It's gone. It's died. It crashed.
Oh, the sun.
No, what are you talking about?
It's talking about the sun.
The sun goes away from you and it moves 15 degrees an hour. So you'll see it again when it's daytime for you. But you're on a flat plane. That's how it works.
Yeah, but it sets at one end and it rises at the other. So
Hang on.
hang on.
Have you been listening? It sets. Do clouds set? Do they touch the ocean?
No, but you said it was 180 when it's 360.
Excuse me. I want you to use critical thinking. Perspective view of the sun moving straight overhead would be directly over your head when it's at noontime at 90. Anything prior to that has a 0 to 90 arc. Anything after that has a 90 to the 180. You're on a baseline of 180.
But when it gets to 180 and then the next day it starts out at 0, but it doesn't go back over your head again.
It's
So it means
moving
that it goes the
away
other
from
half.
Hold on,
you.
10th. Go on, horse.
Yeah, it just doesn't really make any sense, dude.
Is that it?
I don't understand why he doesn't understand that the sun is moving.
You're saying it's 180, but it's 360.
I'll stop. Both of you stop. Right. I left to silence, gave you way. You didn't say anything. Now 10th's talking and you're talking through him.
Thank you.
Do you want me to make 10th man yield again? Have you got something further to add? I'll just make the guy who's talking and you've interrupted stop so you can obviously, have your time. Go ahead. Horse.
What?
This is your time to talk. Go ahead.
It's just 360, it's not 180, That's what I want to say.
Okay, that's a baseless assertion. How do you prove that? What measurements is that assertion based on?
Well, the way he was saying it was like a protractor, and it's more like a compass.
Did you hear my question?
Yeah, I can't really prove it with numbers. I'm just proving it
So
with the way you
stop
see it.
talking. When I say what measurements is this baseless assertion to be based on, you say I can't prove it with numbers, correct?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Jolly good. Do you want to sit down a second while I just summarise this endless garbage that we seem to have from globe-believing numpties? Baseless assertions that things that are in the distance... Please mute him. Things that are in the distance... Seems like he's still talking through me while I summarise his loss. That was a baseless assertion. You don't have any measurements to back it. Every time I'm summarising, he's talking through me. Moderators, it's the third time I'm asking you. Can you mute him? Just got audio chaos. I'm not getting to summarise my point, and he did it 10th twice. As I start summarising, there we go again. There we go again. He didn't have anything. He repeated his baseless assertion that it's 364 times. Finally. No, that was a baseless assertion that's not based on any measurements, as you boldly admitted. I can't shut the hell up while I take apart your garbage. No, we have, as described at great length, measurements of elevation angles to the stars. Now, that was broken down by 10th with descriptions of the clouds. Now, above everybody's head always, and if you look at the ones that are near the horizon, they're not smashing into the ground. Yeah? That's a perspective view. Now, that's simultaneously the angle measurements of the stars. We measure them with elevation angles. That's angles off a flat plane. So you saying, no. They hit the ground, go underneath us and come up the... No. Unless you can give measurements to back that garbage, it's just a baseless assertion. Now, when I say Earth is measured flat, I give you elevation angles that create the maps, that create the Cartesian grid systems, that are used in navigation. They're measurements. It just goes underneath 360 like. What measurements? I haven't got any. So shut up. You've got nothing. We've got measurements of a flat Earth. Horse. You may respond. Server mods, that's you to take him off server mute. My God.
Sorry, Nathan, I was just tied up with something quickly.
Horse. We have measurements, elevation angles. They describe a perspective view and the angle measurements to the stars that aren't crashing into the horizon at 0. Those are measurements of a flat Earth. You made a baseless assertion that they go underneath, 360 like. No. There are no measurements to back that baseless assertion. Earth is measured flat, with angles to stars. Clear? Is that clear, horse? This is what we get, ladies and gentlemen. When someone has their ass handed to them, it's only him chanting through 10th, or it's only him chanting through me. When he gets the concise summary of how he's had his ass handed to him with his stupid assertion, like now, he chooses to talk when I'm talking. So they're not measurements of 360. 180 to the horizon, the angles with respect to a parallel plane and sky and a perspective view described to you by 10th. They're not crashing into the ground at 0. You made a baseless assertion, horse, 360. No measurements to back it, self-confessed. Do you understand we measure the Earth flat with these elevation angles? Not 360 as per your baseless assertion. It's been handed back to you. Defeated. Are we clear, horse?
Yo, can you hear me?
Just mute this asshole.
Yo, I'm just asking if you can
What if you can be heard when you're yammering through me and being told off and having to be server muted so you don't yammer through me? You think you need to be clarifying if we can frickin' hear you? Not a 360 all the way around. You made a baseless assertion and we gave you, to give you your ass, measurements of elevation angles. Described how the stars aren't... There he is, straight through the top of me. Yes, we established we can hear you, horse, and you're having to be server muted, because obviously it's only the globe defeat that's going to lead to the intolerable, incessant interruption. No response, stony silence. And then, am I being heard? Yeah, you're constantly interrupting as I hand you your ass. It's not 360. 180 to a horizon that stars aren't smashing into when you measure them. Are we clear, horse?
Hey.
No, it's only when I'm talking, right? You can't bear to give me a concession. We know you can hear me. Can you hear me, horse? No, well then you're an audio incompetent and we need to have you removed because you obviously can't hear me. We can hear you interrupting.
Hello?
Just get rid of him. That's it. Last chance. Piss off. Get lost. Done with you. You're a dick.
Okay, I'll just go on mute.
No, you won't. You'll be removed. If you can't respond to me when I take apart your stupid garbage and hand you your ass, and you can't listen to 10th examples of things not crashing into the horizon, and every time we try and get you to acknowledge your loss, you try and establish if you can be heard. You're a prick. You're nothing more than the typical globe-believing prick that comes here and can't have his ass handed to him. You can't acknowledge your failure. No, we don't have 360. That was a basis assertion. We dealt with it. But when we tell you how Earth's measured flat, we get nothing but silence, don't we? And an intolerable prick who can only interrupt. Now you don't get to take part in the conversation anymore. You had 3 opportunities. I gave them 3, counted them off. That's it. Goodbye. Now you're not just going to put yourself on local mute so you can interrupt the next point, having not addressed anything I've said, and you've ignored 10th man. No. Get lost now. Next. About 15 minutes left.
Nathan, he's pretending that he can't hear you. Can you say it a few more times?
You're a globe-believing dick who doesn't get to take part anymore because you couldn't acknowledge when you had your ass handed to you. Goodbye. Hope you can hear me. Can you hear me? Check, check, check.
Horse, he's just back healing the truth.
It's terrible.
Well, I've been dealing with Palmerston in the chat while this has been going on, and I did drop something in Master B for you, Nathan. He's too scared to come in and actually speak. However, you may want to address what I've put in the chat to fill in some time.
What about it?
Into Master B.
What about it?
Well, this is his definition of a level horizontal line on the surface of the Earth and how mean sea levels derived.
First sentence, it says level line. A line that is at its constant height relative to mean sea level. Okay? So within one sentence, we'll need a mean sea level then. Yeah, okay. Welcome to Flat Earth. Whoever conjured this image out of the necessity for mean sea level would have to acknowledge that we'd need a mean sea level to do this with, wouldn't we? Well, that was easy.
Correct. So what he's claiming is the second part, the horizontal line, which is the tangential line to a level line at a perpendicular point that is perpendicular to the direction of gravity. This is your straight line. So he's claiming that these horizontals on the sphere can be the horizontal reference frame required on the Earth.
There are no horizontals on a sphere.
He's also denying the slope intercept formulas.
Okay. Well, that was fun. You'll need a flat Earth for that. There you go. Dealt with.
Excellent.
Yeah, he has to deny them. Of course.
All he's mentioned is level, sea level, and horizontal. What's that got to do with curvature?
I've got about 10 minutes left live, so as is always the case, if there's any last stragglers that want to ask anything, make any assertions, baseless or otherwise, feel free.
Well, we
I
were
want to
trying
know
to get
why he was
Palmerston in
scared
here,
to come
but
in here.
he's too scared.
Hey, Nathan, I just sent you some images in Master B you can comment on just based on this guy.
Well, I'll put them up if you want to do it. I've got the first one up. Examples of straight angle.
Okay, no problem. Let me just get to what I sent.
No worries. It's on screen for the audience
Okay.
anyway.
Yeah, so you see a straight angle is a 180. And then you can see here they're putting the protractor image on top of it. 0 to 180, 90 being in the middle. So that's how Earth is measured. The next slide shows that one image that you had on your show, right? With the vernal equinox.
Yep.
Yeah. So when they measure the stars, they use the vernal equinox date in March because there is no Earth tilt. Earth is flat. Even their equator is flat in their model, which is not a model, it's a paradigm. So you've got the vernal equinox showing a straight angle extending from the center of the Earth all the way to the imaginary celestial sphere. And then you got this elevation angle measurement originating from the center of Earth from a point, and it must have a 180 baseline. And that's what they use for all star locations when they make a map of the stars. So what does that mean? Well, that means you need a flat baseline all the way to the celestial sphere. I think that's a bit further than 3959 radius of a globe Earth. And there is no tilt. And Earth is considered stationary and the stars are moving. This is their prerequisite for their globe to have star maps.
Yeah.
The next one.
Yeah, let me just add to that. The globe bit is surplus to requirements. It's not being measured. It's not being used to measure. You're measuring an angle through it, and it's been created through converting these angles by Haversine formula to create a glorified protractor surplus to requirements inside the celestial sphere, with you inside that globe, but ultimately on the equatorial and extended celestial plane. The one the angle measurement in this diagram is coming from. The plane that the angle is with respect to. That's it. Go ahead. I'll put the next one up.
Yeah. So the next one shows a straight angle showing a 45-degree elevation angle and the remainder in yellow. Where's the curve?
You can't get an elevation angle from a curve. If you're going to in any way infer that it's something to do with the curve, you'd do it in reference to this with you inside the globe. You can't get elevation angles from the surface. That's nonsense. You get them from the equatorial and extended plane if you're going to describe it with a globe that's surplus to requirements inside the celestial sphere.
We can go to the next slide and imitate with a circle what they're trying to fool you with a globe. You see that?
Yeah. Straight line, that's the
Straight.
surface. 180, that's the angles you're measuring with respect to stars that aren't crashing into the horizon when you measure them. You can then pretend that this 180 with the curly arrow is the actual globe. You're not standing on it, you're standing in it, but you could project points to the sky that you just measured and leave the globe that you're not standing on surplus to requirements. As per this diagram, the first one you had up.
Yeah. Go to the next slide.
Yep.
And we have another one here that you can comment on because you're doing a good job.
Well, this is the same thing. It's you measuring the celestial equator in this description by label, but it's a 40-degree angle to the stars. So, okay, well, what could you say this globe bit if you call it Earth as it's labelled? What is it? Well, it's a glorified protractor. You're not measuring the surface. You're measuring this surface. And what are you measuring with respect to this surface that the globe definitely isn't? Well, the light in the sky at an angle to the celestial plane. As I just described, this bit's completely surplus to requirements. You're just measuring a 40-degree angle off a flat Earth. But you can create this ball to make it seem like it's got some part of the process. You're not. You're measuring, when you describe PZX triangles, when you first made your gambit into this live stream 10th, the PZX triangles that are curves of the sky when presented in a perspective view. Again, nothing to do with the globe Earth surface, but they pretend that because the angle matches, you can have that PZX triangle down here, therefore it is the surface. Like, we don't have curved triangles, we can't get elevations from a curved surface, We're not taking tangential measurements when we measure angles to stars. The globe is completely redundant. It doesn't have any use. It's just an imaginary created paradigm that's been utilizing flat Earth measurements to create it in the first instance.
Nathan.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Chuck. Nathan, 0 to 90 and 90 times 60 co-altitude is 5,400 nautical miles on this 180 straight angle. We proved it yesterday, even using AI, who had access to all the resources faster than any human can get. The astronomical rectangle creates an inverted right angle for the sky, and the baseline that's in the sky is the co-altitude after you subtract it from the elevation angle at sea with a Mariner section using the horizon for the horizontal reference to get perpendicular. And it's the exact same distance on the surface of the Earth, as AI said, as it is in the inverted baseline in the sky. So what is 90 times 60 nautical miles? 5,400, right?
A massive flat area that we've
Please
just
go
measured.
to that slide I just sent you.
Okay. Yeah.
What's the radius of the Earth on the vernal equinox where the Earth tilt is negated and we need a flat, straight 180 cutting through this circle that they say is the globe? So from the center, the radius line to the edge of the globe paradigm of theirs is 3959 radius, correct?
Yeah. The equatorial minimum that the globe must be if you're going to infer it exists.
So when we convert it to statue miles, 3959, what is it in nautical miles?
3450? 3440
What's 90?
on this?
Yeah, what's 90 times 60 again? 5,400 nautical miles.
Much bigger than the globe in terms of the flat surface that we would describe when we're using areas of equal elevation.
So when you're at the equator and you use your sextant to Polaris, it's 5,400 nautical miles away. And when you turn around and in their paradigm aim south, it's 5,400 nautical miles away. On a flat 180, that's 10,800 miles, nautical miles of flat surface. Bye-bye globe.
Yeah, it's all measured flat. But yeah, it's set in stone. You can't alter the 3959 value because it's the equatorial minimum. It's what gives them what they call the equatorial plane that only works at the equinox. So what do you actually have in terms of squaring that circle when you need to extend out bigger areas of equal elevation that overlap? Well, you have the extended celestial plane. It's like, no. We're just on a big plane. There's no surplus to requirements protractor globe that we're not using. We're just on a big plane.
And there is no doubt that they're using the vernal equinox date where Earth negates the Earth tilt of 23.4 degrees. It negates Earth spinning because they say the stars are moving, the Earth is considered stationary. And this is from their own books.
Right. Got time for one more question, maybe? We have them. We're about a minute away from the end. Oh, okay. Go on.
I have a few from the chat. Here. Now, I know we covered this at the beginning, but they are requesting, could you play the True Globe clip? It's only about a minute long. Maybe give some feedback on that.
No. You need to come in and talk to us. I'm not playing somebody's clip.
No, they're flat earthers requesting that if we could play the True Globe.
It doesn't matter who it is. It wouldn't be like a prejudice against it being a Glober's clip. If somebody wants to detail what the clip is, maybe
Yeah, so that was the clip that was posted to you earlier in regards to Bev claiming that the shape of the Earth is a globe.
Yeah. I said the same thing at the beginning of the show. This is something that we will definitely cover, but just not on a stream that we're live with loads of participants that are potentially asking us a question. I'm literally just about to round out the live stream Does
Hang on. Is this the same Bev, Try Thinking, who told me that you know your latitude when you take an elevation angle measurement to Polaris?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, then you can forget about what he's saying.
Any more? Seriously though, if people are in the VC and they do want to ask a question, this is the last opportunity before I round out the live stream. Nope. Well, with that, I'm going to say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you as ever to the Politics Flat Earth 24/7 Discord for having us today, and a massive thank you to my G Plus panel for making the live show possible. Of course, a massive thank you to all of you, including BJ, who just smashed the... Was it BJ or was it... Look... BG for smashing the super chat. Thank you very much indeed. And everyone else for smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Stay tuned if you are watching on an after show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.